When I first watched the screening and considering it, as a selection for the festival, thing that was very interesting in me and really struck me was this, that it was rooted in Vienna, seemingly, but never spoken, right? So it's a nameless city, but a city that you two know very well and are rooted in, but it's about a rootlessness in this non-place. And so I'm kind of curious, how you constructed that and how you are able to kind of create that not knowingness in a place that you feel like you know, maybe.
I think the starting point of it was kind of after a series of lockdowns caused by COVID. There was this weird kind of new everyday life, like encounters with people, and all the things you're used to do every day suddenly felt new and exciting, but also scary, and also the city felt new in a way and scary. And I think during writing we weren't even sure what we wanted to grasp, but we had this feeling that there is something we want to grasp, like a moment in time, a feeling, an atmosphere that is around. And I think for us writing and shooting this, it became more graspable, something that is not so graspable.
Yeah, I guess it didn't strike me without having not read your notes as a kind of pandemic film. It feels kind of like it exceeds that, or it explores beyond. So I'm curious to hear more about how you were like making it contained and within the city. And I guess it makes sense as a vehicle to withdraw. But how that like helped you to make it more anonymous, or Oh, and also that you started writing it here is very interesting.
We started writing in Vienna, but then we were here, and then I think because our first feature film, Beatrix, is shot at one place in a house, very also kind of isolated in a way. It's like a microcosm. And we really wanted to have this feeling of a city, of like different things happening at the same time, encounters, and
I think we were interested in these overlaps and coincidences that can happen and take place in a city, and also how one can let them carry from the city and its environment and not make so many decisions.
Yeah. Especially because it's about the condition of being a certain age in the city, arriving, being in school, kind of figuring out what you're doing, and often having like somehow excessive time to be in your head and still not know what to do with it. And this was very resonant to me. And I was curious about that as a portrait structure.
I think we were talking a lot about like our generation, but also how probably through COVID and not only through COVID, but like in the past years, screens and meeting people online became so much more common in a way, and how sometimes it feels a screen divides or also guides you through the world, or is a way to see the world and to grasp it also. I think we were talking a lot about that.
And we wanted to create different layers, and screen was a tool for us to tell about other worlds where there seemed to be more possibilities. And we were talking a lot about telling about stories within stories.
I mean, you have these, of course, interstitial, or, well, I shouldn't say part of it, various like media elements of Google Maps or these kind of surveillance-y or these like gaming devices, and so I said that was kind of a way to emphasize this kind of unknowingness,
and also a way like because we tend to tell very realistic everyday stories, and it was also a way for us to try something out within that frame, like
create more drama.
Okay, speaking of drama, maybe could you speak a little bit about how you did casting and who you worked with? It from credits, it's quite a large collaboration, but of course it's also focused. So
I think it was very different with each of the protagonists. Some of them were casted. The first protagonist we casted, and we developed the character with her together through this casting process. And the second protagonist we got to know at the film festival and during the writing process. And we realized that we would love to work with her, so we created a second character that's
she's
based
an
on
actor.
her. No, she's not. She's an artist herself.
None of them are like professional actors. I think that's kind of important to us to work with non-professional actors more. Like we enjoy to work with performance artists. And also for our casting call was that people should record themselves eating because when you see someone eating in front of the camera, you can tell immediately if the person is comfortable really showing themselves or like performing for the camera.
Your preference was somewhere in between. No, was to just try to be themselves. It's very interesting. I guess performers are more likely to have to be stuck with the camera while and close it out, right? Yeah, that makes sense.
And also like all the people involved in the project, it was important to us to we did all these collaborations with different artists to also widen our scape of realities and things that we are not able to tell without different kinds of arts. Like we wanted to give space to them, to include them.
Something I really appreciate about the work is that it's a montage-y, but it's not essay. Like it's not an essay film. It is kind of it's leaving it loose as well, and I think it's a really tough thing to do. So I will open it up in a second. Okay, I'll open it right now. Fine, in the back.
Thank you so much for the great movie. I was really excited by the portrait of the art world because you just said that you want to include artists and showcase art. So a question I had, tell me this is a silly question and I'll stop talking, but a question I have is, how do you see a film as a way to curate, to open us to different arts? And also, and here's the curious thing about it, and maybe it's because we're in a film festival, but I was struck by sometimes the films seem to be really invested in the moving possibility of art and programming, like when we see the protagonist crying after the dance, but we also see her on Zoom kind of being bored about a conversation about curation. So I kind of loved how the film was a celebration, it seemed, of the art world and of programming, and also maybe it arched its eyebrow with skepticism towards it. So I was just wondering if you could talk about any aspect of that question.
Thank you so much for your comment. It's funny that you say that because we were actually talking about us feeling as curators when inviting all these people for collaborations. And I think we invited a lot of people that we admire ourselves and wanted to work with in a way. So we thought, why not include them in our film? And we both studied art, so the art world is very familiar, and we are always on that edge between the film world and the art world, and they're both awkward in their own ways, and sometimes we love them and sometimes they're annoying and can feel empty, and I don't know. And I think we wanted to show different aspects and just those two characters in their daily lives, and also ambivalence, like leave space for ambivalence is like, something doesn't have to be this or that way, but can like be in between.
And we also wanted to play with the role of the audience that expects to stay a cinema audience and then becomes the audience of a performance or attends meditation. So we wanted to play with that a bit.
Yes, there was another immediate question, yeah.
Just wait for the mic, please.
Good afternoon. So as I was watching the film, I couldn't help but notice that the color palette seemed very intentional. The bluish. And
Had you noted the title?
I was wondering how much you were consciously or unconsciously affected by the German expressionist movement, or if you could talk about any of the films that may have influenced this film.
Actually, it wasn't on purpose that it's going to be that much blue in the movie. We just planned to make a winter film because we were interested in how everything feels in winter and how moving through a city feels in winter. So the title bluish came in the editing process. We searched for it very long. It was tough to find the proper title, but during the editing we realized that there is much of blue in like the color in the images. And Lilith was reading Bluets by Maggie Nelson at the time, so we talked a lot about the color blue. And then there is this band, Le Reine Prochaine, you saw in the very beginning of the movie, and they told us that they always are dreaming the titles for their songs. So when we were searching for a proper title, we thought we should also dream this title, and that happens.
And it came from. I can continue unless anyone wants to. I wanted to jump off actually on a few of the audience questions also, which is one is I'm actually curious how your works have played out in the, say, art world as well. You know, some filmmakers kind of hang out between, some are like stay in the cinema, which means sacrificing often art audiences, and some stay in art. Do you kind of try to play with both in terms of how you exhibit it, or
with this film?
With any, or any of your work,
I think
with the feature it's kind of harder, but
No, I think so far we were only like having films in cinema, and there's not so much of a planning. Also with the first film, there was not so much like the way it's going to be shown or it is shown is never so present to us while making. So it's more making and then seeing what happens, and then it happens.
Yeah, you don't make multi-channel pieces broken up
Not
of
yet.
it for. I mean, it is fragmented, so you're not going there yet.
No, but I was actually thinking of because I didn't finish my art studies yet, using this film as a diploma, but maybe then I have to because it's video and video installation, maybe then I have to break it into pieces to use it as the diploma.
You have to throw some objects in there, and the whole thing. It's good strategy. I also wanted to ask about, since you mentioned the music, well, the bluishness and also the music. A lot of the soundtrack is quite poppy in like a clear juxtaposition to kind of the way the vibe is otherwise. Can you talk about that a little bit?
I think to us the layer of music or of songs, particularly in this film, was important because we don't include so much spoken language. So it's nice to have music also to transfer more.
Like to punctuate. Or,
Yeah. And then, I think all of the songs that we chose have a big meaning to us. It's not like just, let's choose a song to, I don't know, make it sound nice, but I think all of the songs have a special meaning to us. And with the song during the performance, there was actually meant to be another song, and we shot with the other song, because it's the performance you see, it's the performance group of Eva Sommer, who is the main protagonist of our first feature film. And we took a piece of their performance to include it in Bluish, and they used the song, and then we didn't get the rights, and then we had to write this song that fits their lips, like lip sync. We were devastated, but then it turned out very nicely, and we invited another artist, Lau Lucarilla, to join for the text, and
Yes, just the mic's coming.
Thanks. Hi there. Just curious, what's the significance of all the water, like the swimming and all the showering, extended showering for you guys from your end? Thanks.
Okay. I think we were talking a lot about like feeling your body in different states, or like our protagonists are longing to feel something, feel themselves, being able to feel themselves. And I think with water, for us, it's this kind of, I don't know, it's just a feeling that we wanted to convey, like this becoming fluid, the fluidness, the fluid on your body. And it was not really intentionally planned to have that much water in it. It kind of just happened when writing.
More questions from? I can, if you, okay. I have another one, but if you, feel free.
Sorry for dominating, but
Wait, you don't do well. You have a good projection, but I guess it's good for recording to use the mic.
Sorry for dominating the conversation, but I have just based on the water question, I was also struck by watching the protagonists always swim on her back. And you remember that great scene where she's going through the water and she's sort of taking up space in the swimming lane, and everyone kind of has to go around her. So I guess my question, I was going to say very cheekily, what is the significance of her always on her back in terms of being an observer and going against the rhythm? But maybe more broadly, how do you both understand cinematic metaphor and using visuals to kind of get under our skin and help us swim in different meanings?
I think she's the protagonist is just floating in between. And metaphors, I don't know. I think it's always nice you will always find metaphors afterwards. I think we're not that kind of like, let's make a reference with this and that, but it's more like a gut feeling that we have while writing and creating, and then there are so many great metaphors that you can find afterwards. And I think that's the nice thing about showing it, because then people like you watch it and find metaphors and like try it, like are starting to connecting things in ways we couldn't even have imagined in the first place.
I also wanted to ask about, unless there's another question, because this is going to be the last one otherwise. Okay. I wanted to ask you about, so far, your commitment to shooting on film, which is, harder, longer, more expensive, very beautiful. But how is that a part of your practice?
I think it's more because of the way of working, because we have to be very concentrated during the shooting, and we always have the limitation in mind. So we know that we can't repeat scenes more than, 2 or 3 times. So it always becomes something like a live performance for the protagonists during the shooting. And I think that's the main reason why we...
Some improvisation or, that kind of useful stress. And I don't like to ask this question, and filmmakers hate it too, but I'm really curious what you're doing next.
We are not working on something yet, but we were talking a lot about series, that we are very interested in series. So yeah, maybe that's going to be next.
We do those too, so maybe you can. Thank you so much. It's a beautiful film,
Thank
and
you
hope to
so
see you
much.
back soon. Thank you.